Good day, good day, good day. I hope you all are having a wonderful Sunday morning. I would like to welcome you here to All for Success. And that's with an X because every now and then I throw in a little bit of what's happening in current events or news. So let's understand, yes, as I welcome everyone, those who haven't been here before, and hopefully those who might be coming on later. This is a Sussex friendly space. I like to talk about Harry and Meghan, and of course, I'm going to try to do that from a positive and uplifting point of view. So, with that being said, you need to go grab your coffee if you haven't made it already. Get yourself in a relaxed position and just kind of settle back, kick back, and listen in. Now, if instead you are more in the exercise mode, then drop your headphones on and get out there and walk and exercise if that's what you're doing, bike riding, and you can keep your headset on while I go through this chat. And believe it or not, probably by the time you finish, or this chat has finished, you will have accomplished your workout goal for the weekend, right? Yay! So let's clap on that, and I'm glad that you guys are here. And you guys, you don't understand. Let me tell you, I am just so happy to see each of you on the channel sometimes when I come on. You don't understand how I am slowly working my way to understanding how this podcasting works. Even though I've been doing it a minute, I am a slow burn learner. Okay, but I'm trying to work at it and get a little bit more practice and professionalism. Now, I listen in on a myriad of other squad positive channels, or what I call YouTube positive channels. And it is amazing to me sometimes when I think of the work involved with what I am just learning. And there are people who are doing this daily, and in some cases multiple times a day. To me, it's a phenomena. I'm like, how in the world can you get that done? But it is amazing, and I'm going to continue to work towards that myself. So thank you all again for being here. Now, as I am about to drag my slides up here on board, let me make sure I got those. Stand by. All right, I'm testing. Okay, so like I said, I always put up the exercise slide. Remind you guys, get out there and get fit. I'm background mother of adult children, so I want you to understand that puts me in the age bracket of people who need to pay attention to their health and exercise all the time. So I remind others because it's an encouragement to me. So feel free to leave below, if you wish, some of your workout secrets or some of your workout antics, because it gives me an opportunity to think about adding that to my list of things to do. I have been big on the bike rides, and I have really enjoyed lately hopping up on a treadmill for a short amount of time and leaning as I'm walking, and that's because I'm trying to help stretch my back out. But anyway, enough of those gory details, but you know what I mean. Get out there, get fit, and exercise and enjoy yourself. At least please do. So, what is happening, boys and girls, in the world of Harry and Meghan? What is happening? Well, reminder number one, Meghan was thoughtful and placed her wonderful show about food and lifestyle on the pending burner until about March. So I am still excited to look forward to that, and I hope all of you are. I can't wait. I want you all to understand, and I thought about this. Are any of you out there in the pod world or the YouTube world are remember or familiar with Anthony Bourdain. I don't know if anyone was really interested in that. His show used to come on, at least where I live, often Saturday afternoons at a very, I would say, a very odd time. It was usually for us somewhere around maybe 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Saturday. And the reason I point that out is, at least when it started, Anthony Bourdain's show was about, of course, primarily restaurants and cooking and food all over the world. He would travel all over the world and find some maybe out of the way spot to go and have an interesting meal at a restaurant. I loved that show. I can't explain what it was about the production of it. It was quiet, it was very thoughtful, and the food that was generally on display was, in some places or in some areas, very remote, very different, but it always looked like it was delicious, you know. So I just thought his show had this interesting feel to it that you would have thought on the outside, well, this is dull and uninteresting. But it was something about that production that was somewhat captivating. So I'm saying that to say I am really looking forward to Megan's production as well, and I do hope that it has that type of quality, because again, his show coming on at the time that it did where I lived, you would think no one would be watching it, but often I would catch it almost by accident. And it was just, it just had a really soothing quality to it. So I am hoping that Megan's production will be somewhat in that line or in that lane, and that at least as you go through many of her productions, that you are learning something that you can use. And I think Megan definitely has that ability. So I, for one, am looking extremely forward to this wonderful production, and I cannot wait to see it. And I do hope that the fires in Los Angeles, which opted for her delay, and the rebuild and the construction that will later ensue, that is, once they get these fires under control. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with the California mountain range outside of Los Angeles, look, the constant fire in that region, it is a feature of that area. And those fires are sometimes naturally occurring and sometimes not. But either way, fire in that region is as constant as rain in some areas. So we definitely got to keep our thoughts and prayers upon those folks. And so we're looking forward to that when she gets ready to go. Okay, so yeah, that's the campaign. And of course, if you believe that the campaign smear all over Miss Megan is going to stop, slow down, or halt, I hope you are ready to be strapped in for the next 200 years. That smear campaign, it might mutate, it may alter, and right now, as we can see, it's trying to relocate here in America, right? Especially with all things shifting in our political world. It's trying to relocate itself and regrow in an area here in the United States where it believes that it has fertile ground. So, although we're watching other things happening in the political sphere, just be encouraged that this smear campaign against her is not going to stop. It's simply going to perhaps mutate and relocate. So we have to maintain our efforts of support, and we have to also move in a diagonal against some of these attacks. We have to sometimes come at these attacks from a little bit of a different direction, and as best as possible from the viewpoint that they can't be seen. Remember, when you're watching television and you're seeing monsters being attacked, you definitely have to attack them from the blind side. Okay? So just keep that in mind, of course, as the whirlwind continues to spiral around their family. So, but hey, once this show starts, I think I'm going to enjoy it. Now, why am I really here today? Ladies and gentlemen, why am I really up early in the morning and doing my version of a Sussex-friendly podcast? So keep an eye on the screen if you get a chance. Listen, these beautiful people listed below, I don't know if you recognize any of these characters. You let me know if you recognize the names. Coming in, ladies and gentlemen, on the far left of your screen is our most wonderful, extremely self-handsome individual, Piers Morgan. Ladies and gentlemen, isn't he gorgeous? And right next to him, coming in at his most self-handsome, self-gratulating, self-important, wonderful, beautiful personality that he says he has, Mr. Dan Wooten, ladies and gentlemen. Also, right here at number 3, Girls and Boys, one of the most popular editors, pushed into her beautiful limelight by none other than, and I will not have a picture of Rupert Murdoch, but we know what he looks like. All I can do is tell you, allegedly, that may be the template for Star Wars character Jabba the Hutt. But hey, that's just something I heard. Anyway, last but not least, this face might be a little less familiar. He's one of those folks that hovers in the background, but he's been a key figure, a linchpin in much of the drama and trauma surrounding not just the Sussex family, but many UK people who have suffered at the hands of the media. And this is William Lewis, everybody. And he is now the editor of our wonderful homegrown newspaper, The Washington Post. Someone here in the United States, for some unknown reason, various entities here in the United States, and I use the word entity because I don't know how else to describe what the people, if you want to say that, are thinking. I do not know here in this country. It's interesting what's happening here in this country. We are watching, which is very, and I need to apologize if you are from outside of the United States. I do not mean this as if there's something negative about anyone from any other country. Trust me, I love to travel. But there's something really insidious about having our core structures here in the United States owned, operated, and or managed by people who are from another country. You see, the reason I say it like that is because growing up here in this country, we were homegrown and kind of indoctrinated to believe that there is zero on the planet better than America, right? Now, of course, that's national pride in every country. That is what you are kind of brought up to believe. You have to come up in a world where you believe your world to be great, good, fantastic. And so every American child, especially in my age group, we definitely came up with that huge chunk of national pride in this country, even if we individually were having hard times or in the midst of a struggle. So it is very, what I call, very unsettling to the American psyche to become aware that super institutions here in the United States, i.e. media, for example, our internal transportation. You know, I was horrified when I found out that our train system was actually British owned. Guys, I was horrified. I was like, what? How is Amtrak possibly rolling on a system that is UK owned? Right? But this is something that I found out as an adult. It was confusing to me, right? It wasn't so much as far as a product like Mercedes Benz. Okay, sure, you can manufacture that in Raleigh all day, or if you know what I mean, or if you're building air conditioners from Korea, LG, we're cool with that, products and services. But to find out that there are core pieces of infrastructure that is actually owned by someone outside of the United States, it's quite unnerving. So, I don't mean to drag this out, but think about it. Recently, there was this big hoopla over the past couple of 2 years at least, this big hoopla about the fact that TikTok was actually an application owned, monitored, run by someone outside of the United States. They were from Asia, right? And of course, the implication that the parent company being from China, oh my goodness, you heard about this on every news channel. It was on every television show. Oh my gosh. Oh no, we can't use an app that's from China. Oh, how dangerous. What a national disgrace. How, blah, 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 blah. Only to then turn around and let's look at, for example, our political structure. We have people giving input to our political structure who are from South Africa, people who are from Europe, various countries, the UK in particular. We have an entire foundation dedicated to wanting Americans to think about things a certain way. And that foundation is heavily funded by people from all over the world. Whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's, I hate to say, the Baltic states, and also Russia. And this has been going on for years, right? However, it was unbeknownst to us as children growing up. So in some respects, I think that there are going to be a number of people and personalities that probably begin to feel somewhat betrayed. And TikTok was a great example of that. If you made a big deal about TikTok being owned by someone in China, it would seem that you would have been more concerned by the fact that the entire network backbone, which is all of the intricacies that the equipment that is actually installed to carry many of our signals and all of that transmission, that you would have been more concerned that that was manufactured in another country. To me, right? But people somehow look beyond these things. It's like they don't see these things, right? It's like they don't notice it. And that is what is disturbing to me. It just bugs me. But anyway, did I digress? Yes, because the featured characters here below, in all of their wonderful glory, these people who are pictured below had a an unnecessary influence in the mind of people here in the United States via the media. Now, I know you guys, you're excited because you're like, well, when is she going to mention the fact about Harry's court case? And we are going to get to the tidbits of that. But here's why I didn't really jump on that right away. Because, hey, for the whole week, everyone has been talking about it. You see, exciting things always happen early in the week. And I can't get to comment on it until after everyone else has talked about it for the entire week. So I'm always a little bit behind the scenario. I'm always a little bit behind. But look, let me quickly say good morning to whoever is here this morning before I go on. All right, all right. In the house we have Joyce Anderson. Good morning. Good Sunday morning to everyone, she is saying. And yes, I love that you are here. We are all grateful to be here. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it. And we have Keen for Concepts also saying morning to all. Okay, I hope the smiley faces will encourage everyone to get out and exercise and work it out, people. Oh, wow. Now, you see, I love it. I love to see you all. Lorna Williams, thank you for being here. Oh, thank you. And thank you for saying good morning to us. I appreciate you being here. It's hilarious that super squatties, that you even take your time out and visit my little lowly channel. Lorna Williams also tells us that Anthony was a culinary guard. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that you paid attention to him as well. I really did enjoy his show. And it was so, what I call so quiet, the way it was produced. I don't know, it intrigued me. And LLAA is a little late, but good morning. And good morning to you. Thank you for being here as well. I do appreciate it. Again, all of you that could be here this morning. Listen, it is so interesting. It is just extremely interesting what is happening here after the court case. So, big round. Let's go back and do a quick roundup. Okay. Thus, the case was about to begin, ladies and gentlemen. We were about to get ready to watch Harry march in and out of the court in the UK as the paparazzi snapped photos from across the street. We were getting ready for that because we knew it was coming. And what we were wondering, what suit was he going to be wearing? Yes, we did, right? We were all excited about how was he going to look. Yeah, we were into it. We had set our clocks. We were on edge, getting ready to go. And bam! Announced the case, the court case, will not be proceeding in front of a judge. All of the gathered evidence and details would not be discussed and presented and talked about because Rupert Murdoch said, enough. I can't do it anymore. How much money do you want? What do I need to do to not have any of what you have found out brought into this courtroom for the whole world to see? And Rupert Murdoch needed to know, is there an answer to this question? Why? Because Prince Harry said, I intend to see this through to the end and prove that what I said you did to me all these years, that you in fact did to me. Okay? And what happened, ladies and gentlemen, unbeknownst to us, in the wee hours of the morning, Rupert Murdoch said, yeah, we did it. But it really wasn't me. It was the private investigators. And yeah, we intruded on your mother's life. And yeah, we intruded in all these other people's lives. And yeah, we're sorry about all that. And here's some money. Boom. Boom. All around the world, people. Boom. Okay? Now, here's the wonderful part of this, at least in my mind. What did the UK media have to do immediately? What did they have to do? Because what we must understand and must look at, even if you're not a media a technocrat, right, or you're not studying correspondence, you have to understand that their job is to now tell the story, because that's what they do. But they have to always put the spin out there and tell the story. In what way can we tell this story so that it doesn't also include us? Right? So first we try to deflect and say, well, he settled. He settled. That means he just gave up and he promised that he wasn't going to, so we always have to tell the story that Harry somehow failed in his mission. Harry, he didn't go all the way, or he didn't do that, blah, 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 blah. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no more all the way that he can go, except whatever. That the only thing I will give 5 seconds of thought to is whatever was going to come out in public, that there is a chunk, a block, an element to it that they don't ever want to see the light of day. Now, here's what we all know. Here's what we all are aware of. Whatever it is, it's going to leak out. Right? Now, I have theories. Right? I can't say these things are facts, but I have theories. It's already been implied. Here's theory number 1. And this is not something that I don't want anyone to say, oh, well, here's some liability. Okay, I'm theorizing. I'm pontificating, making up stuff, fictional writing in my head. Theory number 1. You're going to find out perhaps that elements of the royal administration, and I'm not going to name people, but what you have to know is that in the background, that when you say something is royal firm sanctioned, it always then leads that whoever is in charge, either the king or the queen at that time, right, during Diana's reign, the Queen Elizabeth, or the king during today's situations, King Charles, there has to be the reality that whatever it is that the royal firm is doing, at some point, the king or the queen has to say, okay, I go along with it, or I don't want to know about it, or well, whatever you do, don't bring it to me, or I want to wash my hands of it, whatever. But at some point, their knowledge of it is concrete. Correct? That's problem number 1. Now, you can constantly say it was some administrator in the royal firm, or you could say it was their personal assistant in the royal firm, like they, you can do that, but it still will boil down to either Queen Elizabeth sanctioned this or King Charles. One of you had to say, go along and do this. Now, here's the possibility. Were you complicit in something that happened with Diana? Right? Remember, Diana was pursued until she died. So, someone is going to have to answer for that. Yeah? Who's that going to be? Either that would show up. The other things that might show up. Issues involving other people who are of the aristocracy. How many other people in the aristocracy have been spied on, lurked on, situations where they may have been blackmailed into doing things that they didn't want to do? That would creep out. So there is so much other pieces of dirt that could have unfolded that for whatever reason they didn't want brought up or mentioned. But hey, like I said, I may not live to see it, but it's going to come out. Because the way this was handled is Harry settled this case in such a way that he got the apology that he so deserved. And he got a couple of coins, which basically will help him break even on what he spent. But Outside of that, I love the way the barrister came forward and said, now the next step is that the police department and all of the investigating agencies, they now need to look at all of this evidence that we have dug up ourselves, and you need to decide, are you going to pursue this? Are you going to look into this? Are you going to investigate these people or not? Because the folks that I have pictured here, these wonderful, lovely people who are on this slide that I've been sitting on for a minute, these people testified in court that they did nothing wrong. Keep that in mind. So let's see what the legal system in the UK will do next. All right? People get away with a lot. So let's see how they handle the next steps. And that's what I meant here. So because of the way that they operate, the media will always put a spin on things. How? They use vague, dramatic language and sensational. They always try to make something so much more exciting than it is. I mean, they can talk about a person eating bacon and try to make it sound like something phenomenal, right? But that's what they do. So now their next steps, for all of the hounding of people in the past, they simply have to decide, are they going to take steps to investigate these people? Are they going to be fined, if at the very least, fined for perjuring themselves? Or how are they going to try to slipperily slime out of what has occurred here? And I want you to know, I am 1,000% in the bag waiting. So in my opinion, Harry made a leap of faith, jumped from one cliffside to another, and caught on to the ledge of the other cliff by his fingertips, but he has now pulled himself up and is now standing on firm ground. So we're hoping that that ground will stay underneath his feet, because this is exciting news. And I hope you all feel the same. Let me know, please, if you can, in the comment section, either throw a 1 in the comment, if you believe that Prince Harry has come out where he needed to come out in this particular case. Because guess what? There's still more court cases. So tell me if you think he's on the right direction. Drop a 1 in the line, or just say, yeah, you agree, whatever. I would love to know your thoughts. Because here's the thing. What we're looking at in his case is how it is demonstrated if there is law for the people. Now, here at home, here in the USA, we have to have the same conversation. Do we also feel that law is actually for the common man, the common people? They have rules in their laws and loopholes and stipulations in the UK law that I don't particularly care for. And when everyone discussed the fact that if in this case he had not settled, now, and this is what I'm understanding as people translate to me how their law works, that if in case he had not settled but had proceeded, and even if he had won the court case in the proceeding, that if the judge had ruled, well, we see that you are due $5 million in damages. Well, that $5 million would have been less than what Rupert Murdoch had offered him in the settlement. And for whatever reason, the UK has this strange trickery captive law that says, well, if he had won the case but won a settlement less than what Rupert Murdoch had offered, then he was responsible for paying all the court fees, rather than the person who actually was found liable. I think that's bizarre. But that's what happens when you begin to understand that in some cases, the laws are not for the common people. The idea of nobility and that they don't have to abide by the rules. That's an old world concept. Nobility, oligarchy. The feudal lords, they do not have to abide by these rules. And that's why you had a noble in a place like Italy at one time in the past murdered up all of these young girls. But, she couldn't be executed because she was a noble. She couldn't be tried because she was a noble. Now imagine that our laws today still have remnants of that. Where if you're a noble or if you're assigned royalty, that somehow you are somehow moved aside from the rules that fall on everyone else. There are no rules for you. And that's the place that we're finding ourselves. Thankfully, however, Harry's lawyers in this case, because he too is the noble, it became a war of the giants. And so we're watching this battle play out. But I have to say that from my opinion, I am happy with this particular outcome, but I'm still going to be following whether or not the UK legal system / punitive system / police system will pick up the ball from here. That's what I want to see. So that the laws that are placed upon the people are actually useful. Okay? So let's see how that goes. Okay, now let's get ready to, I'm getting close to my wrap up here. Let's see who else is in the comments, if I missed anybody before I go on here. Let's see. So we have, it says, Hen Pal. Okay, thank you for being here. Hello all, it has been a while, and I think Charles and Camilla are heavily involved. Yes, I think you are winning. You are on the winning side of that thought process. I think so too. I think it was getting close to what was possibly about to happen. Close. Okay? I think they were closing in on the stories they have told. Lorna Williams said, I recognize them. You need to stop because I know what you're talking about, the slide with my wonderful caption, beautiful personalities. You need to stop. Thank you so much. You're a mess. You really are. What are we going to do with you? Joyce Anderson, thank you. Harry is definitely winning this year, and I am hoping that he will continue to win because there is a lot that he's got on the table, right? But the key is the mindset of the folks, because the common folks often feel defeated, and defeated to a point where they don't think that they can make any difference. Especially if you're living in the United States, there are many people who feel like that right now. They feel almost defeated, like everything is hopeless. Be advised, things are not hopeless. Your attention may need to become more focused. Your attention may need to be more over here to the left rather than the right, or more to the up rather than the down. But we are not a helpless people. We have power as individuals. And so we cannot forget that. Not at all. Don't ever let that slide by. And also Lorna Williams is letting us know that I am very suspicious, let me see if I can read this clearly, of the royal family, yep, the police, yep, MIS, yep. And I was suspicious when William was photographed visiting them last year. Yeah, exactly. You should be. Now, I don't know why he would have had to visit them, just like Charles making that visit to the courthouse. I don't know why they had to get out and hop over there to those places, like why they had to make a show of showing themselves at those places, except perhaps to say, to kind of emphasize to the commoners that we're strolling through to let you know we're watching you, you know, and that is possible, right? It would be like here in the United States, many people bending or twisting themselves to try to meet what they believe a leader wants them to do. And that happens here in this country a lot. That prior to any type of actual memorandum or actual law change, prior to that actually occurring, many people will quickly shift their weight and their position to look like they are already lined up with a particular concept, mindset, or action. Now, the danger in the United States is when you make that shift, you're telling people something about yourself. And in the U.S., there's something that people here really do have a problem with after a while. They do not like duplicity. It is one of those things that here in the States, many Americans have a real violent reaction to people who are what they consider two faces. They don't like that at all. Even if you're doing the tap dance for your own financial benefit. Now, we love money above all, right? Being an American is is a part of that package. We love money. But there is a point where if you choose money over certain concepts, aspects of the world and life, there is a point in this country where you will not be rewarded for it. You'll be torn apart. But anyway, we'll keep our eyes open on that, and we'll keep a kind of a fair-mindedness look. But in the law, you have to always wonder if laws are derived to work for the people. And for Harry, he was fortunate that he could continue this fight. And so I'm going to be behind him because what was done to him since he was 12 years old, and I don't care how much someone talks about protecting the royal family and all the pain that they may have suffered. I don't have any feelings about that at all. When you say, here's a 12-year-old child and we're going to put them through the ringer to make everybody else look good. That's it, at least for me. Now, I wanted to point out, here's a fun factoid. Not ancient news. And here's what I mean by this particular slide that I have up. Let's dive back to Wallace Simpson and the previous King Edward, I believe it's the 8th, who abdicated the throne. His abdication is what eventually led to Queen Elizabeth becoming queen. So Wallace Simpson, because as I said earlier, even though these steps are being made forward for Harry and these apology letters are dropping out, we can definitely hope that there is a cooling off of attacking Meghan, but I don't think it will last very long. Whenever she's in the public eye, then the spinners come out to try and make their money off of her back. So Wallace Simpson was kind of in the same predicament, right? In a sense, she too had to be maligned. Now, I don't know anything about her. She could have been a person who had a questionable background. She could have. But she could have also been a very hardworking young lady who wanted to have finer things in life and met very wonderful people and thought that she could have a wonderful interaction with this man of the royal family. You know, she was probably outgoing and he liked that. And she thought, well, okay, this would be great. Well, it turned into, how do we destroy this woman? And their excuse at the time, the reason at the time, of course, was that she too had been divorced. But she also had children from her previous husband. So that also created a barrier, right? Here's a woman who already had children. The king wanted to marry her. She's been divorced. And, you know, the line of the king is supposed to be, like I said last week, inside of a pure vessel. Okay? You know, that's one of those ancient requirements, that the king plants his seed in a pure vessel. And Ms. Wallace Simpson would not be that. So for whatever reason that requirement is in there, you know, to grow what the woman that needs to grow the continuation of the throne, that woman must be of pure condition, or so it is said, right? So I noted that Wallace actually died in 1986. Now, you know what? Put a one in the chat, or put a comment in the chat if you had this thought that King Henry, the previous King, King Edward, previous King Edward, and Wallace Simpson. Put a comment in the chat if you thought this was in ancient times, like so long ago, that it is no way that woman, even as an elderly woman, would have still been alive in the 1980s. Did you all know that? Or I'm not saying did you know that, but were you conscious of that? That she was still alive in the 80s? And the interesting thing about that is, when she actually did pass, now let's look at all the things that they did to, well, not did, or however they lived. You know, they ended up living in a little estate in France because basically it was donated to them so that they could live there. And so in a sense, they sort of ended up living somewhat off the grid, right? Without a lot of support, tucked away and hidden, in a sense, which is what they would like to do to Harry and Meghan. They would like to be able to wipe them from the face of everyone's conscience. Because I would bet you that most people, when Wallace Simpson was ever mentioned, people probably thought she had been dead she and Henry had died a long time ago. But in fact, it was in the 80s. Now, here's another fun fact. The father of the gentleman that died alongside Diana, he actually purchased many things that were auctioned from her estate, right? Again, let's look at how all of these things are kind of intertwined, tied together. What's going on? What was happening? Right? So, it's just phenomenal to me that here is the life ending of a woman who was considered a notorious character. You know, a notorious character by the royal family. But she was still alive in the 80s. Now, I mean, just think about that. Now, at her funeral, this is what I wanted to read about, that when she died in 1986 at her home, she was in Bois de Boulogne, Paris. She was 89, and they think she had like upper respiratory problems, pneumonia. And guess who went to the funeral? Her funeral was actually attended by her two surviving sisters. She had relatives that were still alive. But also Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, right? the Queen Mother and Princess Alice, who is the Duchess of Gloucester, and other members of the royal family. Prince Philip actually went to the funeral, and of course, Princess Diana. Now, that's kind of intriguing, right? And Diana is quoted as having said after it that it was the only time she actually saw the Queen kind of in a sad, weepy fashion. But I wanted to kind of, I don't know, massage that thought that this was not that long ago. Not from my perspective, because again, I'm a parent of adult children, so in the 80s, I was a young woman, but I was out and about. So it's intriguing for me to realize this at this level. Now, Modi, who was again the father of the gentleman that also perished with Diana, the princess, Modi purchased a lot of things that were found in her property and the property of King Edward VIII, because Modi actually returned some items to the UK royal family, right? And he thought that his son would gain favor from all of those good things that he was doing. However, in typical UK royal fashion, they appreciated what he did, but it did not equal you will be accepted by the UK royal family, right? Remember, he was of Egyptian extraction. Lorna Williams is asking, am I talking about Diana's father? No. I was speaking about Modi, the father of Modi Jr., who she was dating when she died in that car accident. He's the one that purchased some of the items that were auctioned away. Yeah. So, oddly, to me, that was somewhat intriguing, But, yeah, so that was part of how it is reported, how it is looked at, as if it is ancient and, oh, it happened so long ago. Oh, my gosh, there's nothing about that that's significant today. But it is. It actually is quite significant. And, from my perspective, it was not that long ago. However, the smear campaign of Wallace, in a sense, continues. Right? Yeah, that's the thing. So, all right, guys, here we go. We're going to thank you all so much for being here and allowing me to just ramble in my own thoughts. I appreciate it. You don't know how wonderful it is to have you here helping me get this moving. Now, I will say, as I get better, I will probably have a wonderful opportunity to get monetized, and if I do, I'll let you know. And if you wish to participate, I hope that you will have fun participating. Not a lot, but every now and then. Just enough, like everyone else is joking about getting coffee. That's all we're going to do. We're going to have coffee together. So, folks, here's what's happening. Our wonderful Prince Harry, as usual, he's in the background, but they forgot that the Harry they are dealing with is the one that I have pictured here. They do not know this is the Prince Harry that they have unleashed. And he is not done with you yet, okay? And that is something I want to make sure I emphasize to all of my squatty friends. It's not the end of the story. Just because there's this settlement, hey, we're getting ready to step it up to stage 2, because they have mistaken who he is. They made a mistake. And guess what? Do you realize if they had just said sorry 10 years ago, they probably would have been okay? But they couldn't do it. You could have just said 10 years ago, I'm sorry. You could have just said after the wedding, I'm sorry, right? You could have just said, when Megan said, please stop reading my father's letters in the UK tabloid press, please stop doing that. You could have just said, I'm sorry, but they couldn't do it. Once again, I'm going to remind you guys, if you haven't watched Polo, please give it a look. Please give it a chance. I have definitely been spreading the word about Polo, believe it or not, to some of my male friends that I work with because they love sport. So I have tried to encourage them to take a look at Polo because I said, it's the type of sport that most people don't know anything about. I said, but watching it, I was intrigued. So I think I've got one gentleman on the hook, and I'm going to see if I can get another one. And that's because he wears the polo shirts. So I told him about it. We'll see if he watches it. And I hope you guys, if you haven't seen it, get a chance to take a look at it, especially now that you have a little bit of time before Megan's cooking show. So don't forget to check out Polo. And I have totally become a Cambiaso fan. And that's both of them, father and son. They're fantastic. So as we get ready to wrap it up, ladies and gentlemen, okay, I told you I'm keeping you later than I should. Yes, I like to do that. Okay, so as I always say, I am not trying to recruit you to any particular type of cult. I just like to always throw out some type of subject matter that I run upon in a Bible scripture that sort of leads me to think about things sometimes in a little bit of a different way. And that's usually how I like to close out. So I hope you guys don't mind traveling with me over to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Okay, quick note. For those of you who are Bible people or children of church, which I was, okay, or like I was in a standard Protestant church, it is interesting how we are trained to say the Bible books, the chapters and the verses, how we are taught to say these things. And it's funny because if we hear someone say a chapter of the Bible, or if we hear someone read a chapter of the Bible a certain way, we become immediately aware of what their level of Bible study is. Correct? You know what I'm talking about. I know some of you know what I'm talking about. So we had an incident several years back where someone said, for example, 2 Corinthians or 2, Chronicles or something like that. And everyone who is a church person, especially growing up in the church, they immediately knew this person probably has not studied the Bible, right? Even though they claim they've read it. But it became obviously. So anyway, where was I? So back to what I'm saying. 2 Thessalonians 2. Okay, chapter 2. All right. So there's a reason it's said like that. Now, throughout the verses, and I hope you guys get a chance to take a look at it, but I wanted to talk about things that might be having people feeling a little bit off balance. So here's that 2 Thessalonians. They say, now concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our being gathered together to him, that we ask you, brothers, not to be quickly shaken in mind or alarm, either by a spirit or a spoken word, or a letter seeming to be from us. Basically, 2 Thessalonians is telling someone, and you can get the background because you would love to read the earlier chapters, that you're going to hear about things happening or something that is about to happen or something that is about to occur, and people are going to get you all worked up. You're going to get shook up by things people are saying or by how people are acting. People are getting all nervous. And they're saying, listen. Get yourself not to be quickly shaken in the mind or alarmed, either by a spirit or a spoken word or a letter seeming to be from us, to the effect that the day of the Lord has come. Okay, in other words, don't get all extraordinarily turned up. Now let no one deceive you in any way, for that day will not come unless the rebellion comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself against every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of God and proclaiming himself to be a God. Do you not remember that when I was still with you, I told you these things? So here's the deal. Keep in mind that in these times of things being unsettled, in these times of everybody's got a prediction about something horrible happening around the next corner, right? Remember, keep yourself still in the mind. Keep yourself from being alarmed. Why? Because there is a method and an actual process to all things. So stay focused, stay on top of what you might be trying to accomplish, and move forward in that action. And remember, you must act. Do not wait for anything that you see, what appears to be falling rain around you. You keep moving through the storm, okay? So I want to say that, and I am about to check out, and I thank you guys again for spending a little bit of your morning with me. So get out there, get your coffee, get your exercise in. And for those of you who are running late for Sunday school or morning service, you better get it together. All right? Thank you so much for being here. And I am going to have to sign out on that note. And you guys, give yourselves a round of applause.